Hi, and welcome to Movie Watch, a weekly podcast where I watch and you listen. Each week I will upload a new episode where I discuss movies I watched that week and give my own thoughts and reactions to the plots, themes, connections, and larger meanings. And if you ever want to know more about anything I discuss in my podcast, or would rather read than listen, look at the additional information I post about everything I talk about, since I give an abbreviated version in the podcast. Since this is my first podcast, I just want to take a minute to talk about why I created it. This semester, I am enrolled in the class People and Cultures of Africa. One week we learned about Nollywood and Nigerian film and watched a popular film Lionheart on Netflix, which I recommend watching. I really enjoyed it and wanted to learn more, so I decided to make this podcast so I could watch more Nigerian films and have a forum to continue discussing and sharing my thoughts. So, this week I will be talking about the Nollywood films Road to Yesterday and The Wedding Party, and discussing Nollywood and women's role in Nollywood. Road to Yesterday is about a married couple, Victoria and Uzo, and their attempt to save their marriage while on a road trip where they talk, reconnect, and try to get back what they once had. The film covers a lot as it deals with issues of love, monogamy, fidelity, trust, what makes a family, and the power of words and forgiveness. The movie begins with Victoria returning from a trip and coming home to her husband who refuses to talk or be around her. The movie uses a series of flashbacks to show how the couple got to this point. And the same night Victoria returns, Uzo goes out drinking and has a pretty deep conversation at the club about whether men are designed to be polygamous by nature or whether they're nurtured by society to be that way. His group of friends also issue out a double standard saying that men are like bees and go from flower to flower, but flowers don't go from bee to bee, implying that women are more inclined to be monogamous than men. Uzo then says that men and women both lie, cheat, betray, and hurt each other. So with this conversation, I'm pretty sure that either Uzo or Victoria's cheated, but at this point in the movie, I'm not sure which one. So on his way back home, Uzo looks down to read a text from Victoria and almost gets into an accident. He pulls up to their driveway with the car lights blaring and says that they should leave for his uncle's funeral now, even though it's 4 a.m. By the way, this scene is important, so remember it for later. Now Victoria's driving them to his village, and throughout the road trip we see flashbacks, so when they first meet, some of their dates, and happier times they spent together as a family. But another flashback reveals Uzo cheating on Victoria 5 years ago before they were married. And the conversation she has with her friends afterwards reminded me of the epistolary novel we read for class, So Long a Letter. It is about two friends who both have husbands that get second wives years into their marriage. And one of the friends takes her children and leaves her husband, while the other friend stays with her husband even though he has married his daughter's much younger friend, moved out of the house, and has stopped providing for his children. In class we discussed how both women were strong in their decision to leave or to stay. In the movie, one of Victoria's friends says that men will always cheat and what matters is what you do. She says that you can either make the relationship work for you or not be in it at all, which is the two different paths the women in the novel take. And back to present day, Victoria says that she cannot leave Uzo. And now, spoiler alert for the rest of the conversation about this film. We finally find out why Uzo's so angry. In the counseling flashback, the doctor also tells them that their daughter has sickle cell anemia, but Uzo does not have the trait, so he cannot be the biological father. Uzo says that he is not the father, and very upset, and Victoria responds saying that he is because he raised her. This moment made me think about the question, what makes a parent? Of course, parents come in many different forms, from biological to adoptive, but in one class reading, we learned that in some African cultures, people consider themselves parents if they feed children, or if a man marries a woman who is already pregnant with someone else's child, then through marriage the child becomes his own. So parents can come in many different forms, but even more depending on the culture. The ending of the movie surprised me, but I won't reveal any more spoilers than I already have on air. But I do on the website, so check that out if you really want to know how it ends and hear my reactions to everything and find out what happens to Victoria and Uzo. But I recommend watching the film yourself. And check out my last thoughts on the website.